Hey everybody, I'm Greg Soul and I'm here with another CIQ demo. So today I'm going to be showing you how to seed your inventories in Ascender or AWX or AAP, whatever you happen to be using, how you can kind of quickly get a bunch of hosts into your inventory. So what is an inventory? It's a big list of all the hosts you could potentially operate against when you're running a piece of automation. And if I pop over to my inventories right here, I'm going to create a new one really quick. And that is easily done by clicking add inventory. It's going to load this screen and I will say seed demo because that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to go ahead and click save and I've got my inventory created. Now, traditionally you could come in here and you can click on host and I can add I can add those hosts one at a time, right? Just by clicking add, filling in the blanks, putting in either a fully qualified domain name here or just a host name and then down here Ansible host if I want to. But that again is manual. It's a little bit clunky. It's great for demo environments or test environments. But in actual production, you want that to be a little bit more dynamic, right? You kind of want that to move on its own. And that is done by going to the sources tab. So this is where we're going to pull in dynamic inventory sources. So I can click add here and it gives me some options, right? I can give it inventory file is what mine's going to be. But for sources here, I have multiple options. So if you have a cloud provider, those are going to be supported in here, right? Your Amazon, your Google, your Azure, all those stuff. And it will connect in there to your cloud provider and pull in all of your, say, EC2 instances. All of those hosts will kind of get added dynamically in here. And that's great, right? Also, VMware vCenter, that's another big one we see. But if it falls outside of this, what do you do? And so I actually have a blog post and a video associated with that blog post that shows you how to do custom dynamic inventory sources. So if you've got a CMDB, a configuration management database out there that you want to connect into some system and pull it in, I've actually got something that shows you how to do that. But say, for example, I just need to seed it. My inventory is going to be fairly static. And I just need to pull a bunch of hosts in here. This is really great for testing environments and things like that. I can do something else. So I can source from a project, and what that really does is it's going to point towards a Git repository. I've already created one, and in fact, it is this one right here. I'm using my Mountain V2 migration one because I've already added kind of the seeding inventory script in there. So I'm just going to cheat and use that one. So I'm going to source from project. I'm going to hit the magnifying glass right there, and I'll choose my Mountain V2 migration project. Again, remember, Git repository has all my stuff in here. Next, it's going to prompt me for inventory file. And so in this one, I am going to be choosing inventory _ Ascender. And so what I'm really doing here is I believe it can be YAML formatted or INI based. I'm doing INI based in mine. So if I take a look at the inventory file itself, if you've ever done command line Ansible, this is going to seem extremely familiar. Here I've got two brackets with the word mountain-host inside of there. That's essentially what I'm doing is setting up a group. Right? And in Ansible, in an inventory, a group is a way for you to put a bunch of hosts in there. And so rather than in the host portion of my playbook, referencing every one of those individually, I can just reference the host, or rather the group, and it will pull all of those in. In here, I've got a couple of examples. So the very first example is going to be a fully qualified domain name. And if Ansible gets an FQD in, it's going to be able to resolve that, connect to that host, you're done, right? You're good, you can move on. The next example is me showing you in this inventory file a host that isn't fully qualified, right? It's not resolvable. So in here, I use a magic variable, Ansible _ host, and I put an IP address. And this tells Ansible, hey, whenever I'm connecting to web host 44, go ahead and use the IP address 192.168.1.44 to connect to them. And I'll be able to essentially grab their IP, connect to it. Everything's great. Next is showing how to kind of dynamically build some stuff, which is interesting. So here I'm doing an address range. You can see I have bracket, number, number, and that's really essentially telling it, hey, scan or scale from this number to this number, right? So here I have 0 to 1, as well as in the last octet there, I have 1 to 254, right? So this is going to do 2/24s. It's going to be 10.134.10.0 all the way to 10.134.11.254, right? So like 512 hosts I'm going to be able to have in there. So that's a good way to pull in a whole bunch of IP addresses really quickly, right? So again, if it's kind of a lab environment or a demo environment, or maybe in some production environments, it's a little bit risky. I really don't like putting in just IP addresses because I have no idea what that thing is, right? There's kind of no description. And when I am automating this, like in Ascender, the output is just going to show those IP address, right? So I really don't know what those hosts are. So I generally don't try and do that in my actual production environments. But if you're in a pinch, you need to seed this inventory really quickly. Maybe you've got some 0-day and you just need to throw it against all of your hosts to fix some stuff. This could be a way for you to do that via IP address. Now, in the last example, we also support that number range option inside of fully qualified domain names. So right here, web server, and then it's going to scale from 001 all the way to 254.gregsole.com, right? So it'll actually flesh all of that out in the inventory. So we're going to use this to seed, right? So you could copy and paste this, make modifications if you want, create different groups, add things to dynamically different groups. So when it gets imported in the inventory, it'll actually get sorted into those groups as well. You can also do a group var section in here. So if you wanted variables associated with just the mount host group to actually get pushed in, you can do that as well. So all the things that you're accustomed to, you can actually do it in this seeding method. So I have chosen my inventory. Now down here at the bottom, I have a few additional options. And so I have overwrite variables, and update on launch. So what overwrite will do is it will take whatever's in this inventory, it's essentially going to wipe it out, and then whatever it pulls from this inventory file will get installed, right? So that can be a little dangerous. If you have some hosts in there that you've manually added, they're going to get wiped on run if you have that checked. You also have overwrite variables. And so what this will do is by default, if it pulls extra variables for, say, web server 001, it will just add them to the existing variables that happen to already exist for that host if it's already in there. Overwrite variables, if you hit that checkbox, it will wipe any variables associated with that host, and it will only install the ones that is dynamically pulling in from that file, right? So it can be a little dangerous in that respect as well. Update on launch is a nice one. So what that will do is anytime you're using this inventory, any piece of automation that's utilizing it, it will first pause that automation and it will do a refresh on this inventory file, right? So theoretically, if this is something that gets updated regularly, it will pull in and make sure you have the newest version. That's really more useful, I would say. Like if you're just seeding an inventory, oftentimes that's going to be a one-time thing, so you don't really need the update on launch. Update on launch, I usually see that with kind of cloud providers or CMDBs that are dynamic, right? Things that are changing, you want to kind of pull those hosts in. My thinking of this is more you're just trying to pull in a bunch of hosts really quick one time because we need to crank some automation against those things. Once we're done, I'm going to click save, and I'm going to go ahead and synchronize that. And through the magic of editing, you won't have to wait. All right, it is now seeded that inventory, right? So you can see job status up here says successful. That means it's consumed that inventory file. It's pulled all that stuff in. So I'm going to click up here to go back to the seed demo inventory itself. And then I'm going to click, well, I mean, I don't even have to click anything. Right here you see total host 764. So it is auto-created a whole bunch of hosts. I'm going to click on the host section. So you can see it should start out with all of these IP addresses. Right here on the right under related groups, you can see they're all under the mountain-host group. So all of that is listed as imported as well. So you can see it's pulled in a bunch of stuff. I'm going to change the sorting on this right here so that it will reverse sort. And now we can see kind of the web servers. You see 254 moving its way all the way down. And again in the list down here, 764. So as you can see, a really quick way to seed your inventories, especially if you need to do some quick and dirty operations on something. If you have any questions or concerns, or you would tweak or tune this to match your environment, I'd love to hear from you. I am definitely a big advocate of feedback, so give me constructive feedback. I'm always willing to hear it. If you have any questions, comments, please reach out to us. We definitely want to hear from you in that respect too. You're looking for support on Ascender, or you'd like to talk more about its capabilities or migrating from AWX or AAP, I'd be happy to do that. If nothing else, happy automating, happy seeding your inventories, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.